The cameras of the Ed Sullivan Theater burned bright that night, their red tally lights glowing like small stars against the darkness of the studio. Stephen Colbert, dressed in his crisp navy suit and armed with his usual stack of blue cue cards, strode onto the stage to a roaring audience. The laughter and applause filled the theater as he launched into his opening monologue, poking fun at politics, at celebrities, and finally, at the Trump family. His punchlines cut quick and sharp, the kind of humor he had perfected over years of late-night television. But tonight's show carried a different weight. For the first time, Barron Trump had agreed to appear as a guest. The teenager had remained largely away from the spotlight, shielded by his family during his father's presidency. But now, older and taller than most remembered, he had chosen to step into public view, perhaps to carve out his own identity. The booking had made headlines instantly. Colbert's producers were nervous, sponsors were thrilled, and the internet buzzed endlessly with speculation about how the host and his guest might clash. When Colbert introduced him, the applause was a mixture of surprise, curiosity, and even hesitation. Barron walked onto the stage in a fitted black suit, his tall frame commanding attention. He shook Colbert's hand firmly, his expression a blend of youthful composure and simmering nerves. The two men sat across from each other at the desk. For a moment, silence hung heavy, broken only by the rustle of cards in Colbert's hands. "So, Barron," Colbert began, his voice smooth but laced with that familiar hint of irony, "you've been the quietest Trump for a long time. Tonight, you finally step into the spotlight. Why now?" Barron leaned forward, his voice deep yet steady for his age. "Because I want people to hear me directly, not through headlines, not through jokes, not through assumptions about my family." The crowd murmured, sensing the tension in his tone. Colbert smiled thinly. "Fair enough. But you realize people are curious because, well, your father has given comedians like me plenty of material. You've grown up watching late-night TV tear him apart. Doesn't that bother you?" Barron's jaw tightened. "It bothers me when the jokes stop being about him as a politician and start becoming attacks on us as a family. Especially when I was younger. People forget I was a kid in the White House. I didn't choose that life." The audience grew quieter, caught between empathy and curiosity. Colbert, sensing the gravity of the moment, pressed further. "So you're saying late-night comedians crossed a line? That we were unfair to you?" "Yes," Barron replied bluntly, his eyes locked on Colbert. "You did." A ripple of surprise passed through the audience. Colbert shifted in his chair, not used to guests confronting him so directly. "Well, comedy is about punching up, Barron. We go after power, not children. If you felt hurt, that was never the intention. But intention doesn't erase impact," Barron shot back, his voice firm now. "Millions laughed. I heard it in school. I saw the memes. You don't get to hide behind comedy when it ruins someone's childhood." The studio fell into stunned silence. Even Colbert looked momentarily shaken. For once, the sharp-witted host didn't have a comeback ready. He adjusted his glasses, buying time, but Barron leaned in further, his frustration spilling. "You built your career tearing down people like my dad," he continued, "but you never stopped to think about the collateral damage. You mocked him, and people mocked me. Do you think that's fair?" Colbert's voice tightened. "I think what's unfair is what your father did to this country. You can't expect comedians to stay silent when democracy is on the line." The clash escalated, the host and the guest no longer playing roles but speaking raw truths. The audience shifted uncomfortably in their seats, unsure whether to cheer or stay quiet. Cameras zoomed in on Barron's face, his clenched jaw, his steady stare, and on Colbert's furrowed brow. Then Barron stood. The move was unexpected, jarring. His chair scraped loudly against the floor. "If this is what your show is about, if all you want to do is score cheap points and defend what you've said, then I don't belong here." Gasps echoed across the studio. Colbert raised his hands, trying to calm the storm. "Barron, wait, this is your chance to speak. Don't walk away." But Barron's voice rang with finality. "I came here to be heard, not mocked. If you can't respect that, I'm done." And with that, he turned and strode off the stage. The cameras struggled to follow him, the audience erupting in murmurs, half in shock, half in awe. Colbert, visibly rattled, tried to regain control. He shuffled his cue cards, laughed nervously, and muttered, "Well, folks, that was something." But the weight of what had just happened lingered in the air, impossible to dismiss. Backstage, producers scrambled, unsure how to handle the fallout. Clips of Barron's walkout began spreading online within minutes. Hashtags exploded across social media. Supporters praised him for standing his ground, for confronting a powerful voice of late-night television. Critics argued he had walked into hostile territory unprepared. But one thing was undeniable: Barron Trump had made his presence felt. For years, he had been the silent figure in the background. In one heated clash on national television, he had broken that silence, leaving both Stephen Colbert and the American audience stunned. And as the show limped to its next segment, the theater felt different, emptier, heavier. It was no longer just another night of comedy. It had become a moment of reckoning, one that would be replayed, debated, and remembered for a long time.